look, the release of the Epstein files is emblematic of what Trump ran for and why he got the populist vote. There seems to be a class of people beyond the law, beyond the judicial system, that operates outside of all of that. And we all thought that when Trump was elected, he would be the bull in the china shop and that he would break that up and bring transparency. Frankly, it wasn't until just recently that I realized that people who were allegedly working on this weren't sincere in their efforts. And also, politics is the art of the doable. There's enough public pressure right now that we can get 218 votes and force this to a vote on the floor. Somebody should ask Speaker Mike Johnson, why did he recess Congress early so that he didn't have to deal with the Epstein issue? He can bring this to the floor at any point, yet he's chosen to send us home early for August recess.
That is rogue Republican Congressman Thomas Massie, who has been a colossal pain in Donald Trump's ass, and now Republican Speaker Mike Johnson's as well. Johnson, and especially Trump, have publicly raged about Massie, and here he is on live TV humiliating both of these men on the most dominant news story of the past 3 weeks, which is Trump's ongoing Epstein scandal. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to play because Thomas Massie and Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna have been making the rounds on the Sunday morning talk shows, talking about their efforts to force a vote on the release of the Epstein files. They have enough signatures, they claim, to create a discharge petition, which would bypass Republican Speaker Mike Johnson and force a vote. And if it doesn't pass, well, at least people will be on the record, right? Very good chance it will pass, in addition to making it to the floor in the first place. And that's why Mike Johnson panicked and was like, oh shit, I'm cutting Congress off a week early so we can go on our month-long vacation, and hopefully by then, fingers crossed, Trump and Johnson hope the Epstein's furor will die down. So again, Khanna and Massie are making the rounds to make the case and further twist the knife, proverbially speaking, politically speaking, into Trump, which I think is glorious. So we're going to play some more of these clips.
What is your response to the concern that releasing these files could ultimately hurt the victims, Congressman Massie?
Well, look, that's a straw man. Roe and I carefully crafted this legislation so that the victims' names will be redacted and that no child pornography will be released. So they're hiding behind that. We're trying to get justice for the victims and transparency for America. And so, you know, we've redacted things before. We don't want to hurt the victims. We're doing this for the victims. I think it's just something that they're hiding behind. And at the end of that statement, I heard something about conspiracy theories or something like that. Look, they're the ones, it's the president's own attorney general, FBI director, and children who said that, and vice president, who said that these files need to be released. We're just trying to hold their feet to the fire.
Well, what is your response?
That's pretty brutal. That really is brutal. Again, Thomas Massie sticking it in. Hey, it's Trump did it. Trump supporters who did it. Trump's top advisors who did it, Trump's vice president who did it. They campaigned on this shit. We're just holding their feet to the fire. We're just, expecting them to follow through on their campaign pledge. Pretty brutal.
Congressman Massie, I do want to go back to the fact that the House was adjourned early. House Speaker Mike Johnson has defended that decision. He says, look, the White House is already pushing for the release of the grand jury materials. Obviously, that's been held up in court. He's accusing you of trying to inflict political pain on your party by criticizing him for adjourning the House early. Is he right? Are you trying to inflict political pain with this criticism?
I don't know why it should be politically painful to be transparent. Is the pain he's talking about that somebody in our party will be embarrassed by those files? Then that's not a good excuse. Is the pain he's talking about is that the legislators, when they vote, have to pick between protecting embarrassment of the rich and powerful versus getting justice for victims? I don't really understand what he means by that. Why is it painful for Mike Johnson to call a vote on this? And it's, the American people deserve this, regardless of what the political ramifications are for the speaker.
It's good. I mean, that's the ultimate refutation. When you say this is painful, how so? In what way would it be painful for you? I mean, unless you or people close to you or people that are political allies to you are heavily implicated would be embarrassed by the release of these files, then you have nothing to worry about. As a matter of fact, one would think that it would be politically painful for you to do what you're doing, Donald Trump and Mike Johnson, because your base in particular, and now the American people, because of the Streisand effect, you've made this substantially worse for yourselves, but your base in particular wanted the release of these files. You campaigned on it. You procured votes based on that commitment. So one would think that you're actually causing your own pain by denying your base. Very interesting. Mike Johnson, of course, has no answer to that question because there is no good answer to it other than, the obvious implication, which is that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. We know that courtesy of the Wall Street Journal's reporting on this as well. Seems to me like you're just trying to protect Trump and hoping it'll go away. And I like the fact that Thomas Massie refuses to relent. Here's another clip, and I believe this is from a different news show this morning. I think it's ABC's This Week with Jonathan Karl.
There was this story in the Wall Street Journal about a birthday message that the journal reports that Trump wrote to Epstein for his 50th birthday, and it is part of a book of messages. Obviously, the president denies that he did this. He's suing the Wall Street Journal over it. But would you support something that Congressman Khanna has been calling for, which is pressing the estate of Jeffrey Epstein, subpoenaing the estate to turn that book over?
Well, I think we should get a lot more than just the book. Let's get the financial records of the estate. Follow the money, as they say up here. We should look at the plea bargain, open that up, see what was the deal that was cut. I think there's a lot more than just that letter, but that letter is also sort of representative of something that's embarrassing but not illegal. Another reason why these files may be sealed and stay sealed. But we're going to force a vote on this when we get back from the August recess. Ro Khanna and I are using a procedure in the House called a discharge petition, whereby if we get 218 votes, and we're well on our way to that, 218 signatures, then we can force the vote.
So you're just going to need a couple more Republicans to sign that if Democrats go along. Are you going to get that?
If every Democrat signs this, I've already got 12 Republican co-sponsors, and I only need 6 to sign it.
But will they sign? I mean, will they? Because that's taking control of the House schedule away from the Speaker.
I think the pressure is going to build over August recess. I don't think it's going to dissipate like the Speaker hopes that it will. And if merely just half the people who've co-sponsored this legislation follow through and sign it, then it's going to come to the floor for a vote.
Yeah, Thomas Massie's on a one-man crusade against Donald Trump, and I'm here for it. I love it, and I think he's right. I mean, listen, it's possible. Generally speaking, Trump dictates the media cycle. He really does. He has one talent, which is that he gets to set the news cycle and distract from it. When it's an extraordinary talent that he has used to genuinely terrible, nefarious effect. But this has been the one news cycle which has truly eluded him, and their efforts to destroy the Obama conspiracy. Barack Obama actually tried to stage a coup against Donald Trump, and his coup, was a peaceful transfer of power. But there was like a coup deep down. Like, that's not resonating with the American people. It's certainly not getting the headlines Trump hoped it would, despite Fox's best efforts. The grand jury testimony. Well, hey, listen, we don't have to force a vote on this because Donald Trump has asked his attorney general to release the grand jury testimony. Well, again, 2 things. Number 1, it's being held up in court, and apparently for good legal reasons. Number 1. Number 2, the grand jury testimony is a fraction of a rounding error of the composite information that comprises the Epstein files, something like 300 gigabits worth of information, and or gigabytes, worth of information. It's like, well, why not just release what you have in your discretion to release instead of fucking around with the grand jury testimony, which is like inconsequential in the grand scheme of things and doesn't really get to the heart of the matter in terms of volume or substance. People don't seem to be buying that. In terms of what they're hoping you buy, like, people don't seem to be satisfied with this. One last clip with Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna.
What would be the reaction if he actually went through and did some form of clemency, granted some form of clemency to Glenn Maxwell? Congressman Khanna?
Well, I think people would say, why is he doing that? And can we really believe Maxwell's testimony? I mean, I don't love the broad pardon power in the first place. I think it has been abused. I think at this point, though, what the American people desperately need is for all of the evidence of the files to come out so they can decide for themselves. So they're not relying on Maxwell. So they're not relying on even congressional committees. Let the American people decide.
And how would you react to a pardon or a clemency?
I don't think she deserves that or needs that. I mean, she's guilty of crimes, but it's hard to believe that she herself and Epstein did these crimes by themselves, right?
Yeah.
So it's time to find out who else was involved. And I agree with Roe here. The bank records don't lie. The documents don't lie. They don't change. The plea bargains that have been sealed don't lie. Let's release those.
Yeah. Because Ghislaine Maxwell has perjured herself at least twice, and she's angling for a pardon. Trump's the only person who can give that pardon at this point. So all the motive and means for a corrupt quid pro quo are there, and Donald Trump has a history of such things. So there you have it. Thomas Massie not giving a fuck. Continue to openly defy Donald Trump and Mike Johnson, and I'm here for it. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.